All right, let's go to the next one, mitigating risk management controls. In general, there are some strategies or mechanism in place to mitigate or manage risk in general. Three, I would call out. One, technical controls. For example, we use technology to mitigate risks such as firewalls or encryption. Firewalls help us to prevent malicious actors from coming into our network. Ladies and gentlemen, remember again, the network is just connectivity of multiple devices. Now it has gone crazy because now we have Internet of Things, which means all our wearable device is on the network. Our kids' laptop, their desktop, their tablets, every one of those TVs that are smart TVs are in our network. So it's just crazy right now. So it means we have to have some technology involved. Encryption as we send information back and forth, very important also, right? So that's also equally important. Administrative control, ladies and gentlemen, remember again, you might get over everything, right? You have the best technology, you have the best softwares, you have all this fancy stuff. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? What about if you forget to do security background check for your contractors? How am I sure the guy or lady I'm giving access to the key to my kingdom is not compromised, is not a criminal? So I've done everything right, but I forgot administrative control. My HR don't do background check to check for anything. We don't do security awareness training to keep our folks sensitized. Then it's a disaster waiting to happen, obviously, at that point in time, right? The third one, which is also important, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget this. This is always, we sometimes ignore this. For those of us that remember, there was an attack that happened. This is national security issue, right? Stuxnet. Stuxnet was a virus that was placed in the Iranian nuclear reactor some years back. Guess what? Somebody went in, installed a flash drive, right? There's rumor that it was the US CIA and Israeli Mossad that participated to do that, right? Let's leave the technicality of it. But the bottom line is that within our own critical infrastructure too, somebody can be compromised and allowed to physically go to your facilities, especially operational technology, manufacturing plants, all of this crazy stuff, right? Put in flash drive and compromise your system. Let's pause. When we say compromise the system, think about it. I'm a pharmaceutical company. We manufacture drugs for oncology patients, patients that have cancer. And I changed the code to make the dosage from 500 mg to 50 mg. And it goes to production, it's shipped all over the world, supply chain. Then your patients start dying, only to realize that the 500 mg that you thought it was dispensing 50 mg. So can you see the implication on real life? Even though you think it's a manufacturing plant somewhere you don't care about, the implication in real life is that lives can die. People can die, really. It's not, this is no more some somebody stealing my account. No, lives can be lost as a result of it. Safety is a big deal also in cybersecurity. So we have to think from that point of view. Don't limit it to just thinking, oh, somebody's stealing my credit card, or those are bad. But even worse is sometimes loss of life. A few weeks ago, if you guys follow the news, some hackers, Israel is one of the best in the world in cybersecurity, and some hackers took over, suspected to be Iranian, took over their public dispensing system for chlorine to their swimming pool. And they told them, this time we are not harming anyone. They would have dispensed excessive chlorine, which would have led to people falling sick, potential loss of life. They did not do it, but they took over their system to potentially do it. So these are some real-time risk. So physical security is also important. That's where I'm driving at, okay? Very important. So always think about, don't just limit everything to just, technical, administrative. Physical is equally very, very critical, especially from a safety point of view. All right, let's go. Another thing, some of you on the call said, oh, well, we've heard about risk management framework, RMF, some general things we should think about. Number one, most times, a lot of folks that use this in the government sector. So they would talk about categorizing information system, select security controls, implement security controls, asset security control, authorize information system, monitor security controls. For most of us, 80 to 90% of us on this call, that would not be your story because you'll be working with the Fortune 1000 or mid-sized companies that are doing risk assessment. Sometimes we overthink risk assessment. To be honest, most organizations I've done this with, people don't overthink it because they just want to quickly find out the top risk within their company. That's all. And honestly, just like you, most of us already know the top risk within our business, right? It's not like anyone is telling you and I something so strange. You already know it. You're just trying to make sure that, okay, guys, are we covering those top risks? Okay. All right, let's go. And this is just getting into the details of the actual, what do you do at each one of these phases, categorizing information system, the selection of the security controls, implementing the security control, accessing the controls, authorization of the information system, and monitoring of the security control. I'll leave this, send it as part of the document I've sent to us after the program, just for your personal read, okay? But in general, I won't waste too much time on it because the focus is where we're going to in the next 2 minutes, okay? Risk mitigation, remember, at the end of the day, is the process of reducing the likelihood or impact of a risk. So we have 3 key things we can think about. Everybody, listen, very straight to the point. We can decide to avoid a risk, all right? Let's avoid it altogether, all right? Yeah, you're talking about people having access to my data center, which is where we keep all our computers and our facilities somewhere. What about if we say, well, okay, going forward, we don't have a data center? Okay, that avoids the risk in total because it's not existing again. What about transfer? Most of us, remember again, think about it. How do we transfer risk mostly? Top on the list is insurance, right? I would say, well, I don't want to absorb this risk. If anything happens, I will have my insurance. That's why we all pay for insurance. For our mortgage, for our cars, you say, you know what? I don't want to spend money to repair my car if there's an accident. Screw that. I don't want to do that. I want you all to just push all the risk and liability to a third party. Then we subscribe to these insurance folks, and that's it. The final one, reduction. A lot of people tend to move towards reduction and say, look, let us find a way to minimize this risk. For example, you can tell me, hey, users that have access to certain systems should be restricted. Okay, no problem. Let's make sure only few people have access to that system. So that reduces my risk, right? So that I'm not giving broad access to everybody to have to that particular system. I have just a few people. Then I take it a step further and say, those few people that have access to this system, let us quarterly review their access. Fair point. All right.